the sunshine. Do what I do when I do what I do when I'm doing in the sunshine. Do what I do when I do what I do when I'm doing in the sunshine.
It is a little bit of that jazz, soul, rhythm and blues kind of funk coming through this afternoon. First released back in 1976, this particular song. It is Roy Ayers coming through with Everybody Loves the Sunshine. There is, of course, the original version, and I think it's also been redone in recent years by some noted dance house producers, giving it a bit more of a funk and a bit more of a beat, and sort of keeping it fresh and up to date. It actually took its place in the Billboard Top 100 when it was first released, this particular song. And it goes down as number 72 on the 200 best songs of the 1970s. That is Roy Ayers with Everybody Loves the Sunshine, and the sun is out and shining countrywide. We're experiencing a beautiful weather as we count down the last few weeks of summer. Someone said we should not complain, having experienced all the heat and the heat waves that have been, sort of ravaging through, particularly the Gauteng, Johannesburg area. And someone on the weekend said we shouldn't complain because we're going to blink in a moment and it's going to be winter, and then we're all going to be complaining just about how frosty cold everything is. I don't know if the moon came out last night or it did not. I'm assuming that it has not as yet. I haven't really heard anything, or maybe I've missed that update. But yes, I don't know if the moon came out. I'm erring on the side of it not having come out last night. Some of my team are looking confused. It did? Did it come out? Oh, okay. So the moon came out last night. So that marks the beginning of Ramadan in the Southern Hemisphere. And if you do observe Ramadan, we wish you an incredible month of great dedication and focus to your faith as Ramadan kicks off. We've got lots of show today. We're going to be chatting around this is a topic that's often, I can't say it's polarizing, but it's darn near infuriating, especially if you are a woman or identify as a woman, when we talk around gender politics and the policing of women's bodies. There's a certain entitlement, particularly when it comes to conversations around women's reproductive health. And we see these growing trends even on social media, where really just boundaries and lines get crossed on a day-to-day basis, where people feel entitled to chime in on women's bodies and to encroach on people's individual rights of choice, of privacy, and everything else. And so we're going to be having that conversation today. We're also going to be jumping into stages, pages, screens, and more, catching up with the folks at the Great Escape Camp and Music Festival. They're going to enlighten us as to what all of that fun fair is all about. And then on the other side of 2 o'clock, the doctor is in the house, and we're talking alternative medicines today. We're looking at homeopathic ways for some of your medical issues, and we're having a general conversation around general overall health this afternoon. So if you do have a point of query or question, maybe there's some lotion or potion or concoction that you swear by and use that has helped you with particular ailments, that's definitely the conversation that we are having today. It has just gone 1:15 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. 086 000 2032 is the number you can call us on, or 061 410 4107. That is our WhatsApp line.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
So my first guest is a feminist and an activist. Kanyisile Mlambo is joining me, and we're talking around, of course, policing of women's bodies, not just in South Africa, but societies worldwide. Women continuously are facing relentless scrutiny, and the policing of our bodies, particularly when it comes to conversations around reproductive health choices. And it's become something that's deeply ingrained in our sort of social behaviors. We see it more and more on social media, particularly where boundaries are being crossed on a day-to-day basis as people just feel the sense of entitlement and privilege. And so we thought we'd have this conversation. How are you doing this afternoon, Kanyisile?
I am doing so well, Bridget. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, thank you. And this is the thing, right? We have this conversation about what gives you the right. And it's a conversation that started decades ago.
Yeah.
And yet it still persists today. And on the one hand, we are becoming so enlightened. We are becoming so much more exposed as global societies. But when it comes to issues around women, and particularly women's bodies and reproductive rights, it almost seems as though we're just turning back the tide.
I fully agree with you. And I think this is mainly our fault as society because we create our own rules of engagements and what rules currently exist in the society that we live in. Because seemingly the experience of having a body identified as a female body affects one's position in political reality, which then condemns us, the owners of these female bodies, to a status of constant subordination about what happens to our bodies because society also wants to think for us. And I find this to be such an interesting implication because it's as if society continuously calls us to share autonomy of our own bodies with them.
And I actually think, Kanyisile, to a large degree, that is exactly what happens, right? Someone opened up the gateway where they feel as though they have a right and the privilege to come and share in the autonomy of the female body on an individual and collective basis.
Yes, and I think also the other element that comes to this, right, is people do not understand that whatever angle that you look at it in, whether it comes from a place of concern, whether it comes from a place of curiosity, my body, my room. Which is to say that whomever you are, whatever opinion or reflections that you want to give on why I don't particularly have a child as a woman, or why do I choose not to have children, or why women make any of the decisions that they make about their bodies. That is fully their choice and their decision.
Yeah, and more so when it comes to, and I'm glad you sort of bring us into the reproductive element of it, right? Because it's such a personal thing. It's such a personal conversation. At times you find women, even within their own intimate circles, are very reluctant to share their journeys for a plethora of reasons. And now this expectation for that conversation to be tabled for the collective is very bizarre and very abstract. And how do we create the boundaries to assert that my body, my rules, my womb, my rules?
I think for me, it would also be about it being a collective and collaborative effort, because it's not enough just for me to tell the person my body, my rules, when everyone around me, which is the rest of society, condones all these intrusive questions about what a woman is allowed and what a woman is not allowed to do. Because it should, at the end of the day, be my autonomous decision. So I guess for me, it's a matter of us all rallying around these issues and having these difficult conversations and creating intentional boundaries about what people can and cannot say, especially about what a woman needs to do with their body. time, whereas we have an instance in society, whereas somebody is being too intrusive, we should call them out. Because it's simply not okay that this is a behavior that seems to be allowed. Because how self-orientated must you then be as the next person to think that it is completely acceptable to try and set the rules and the boundaries of another person's body?
And that leads us to gateways to all kinds of other social issues that we face every day. Let's take a quick break here. It's just gone 20 past 1. 086 000 2032 061 410 4107 as we continue our conversation. Maybe you have an opinion in as far as, do you think you have a right to have some kind of curiosity around other people's bodies, particularly other people's reproductive choices? Let us know your thoughts on that one.
Fly better to your next holiday. Book your flights with Emirates to a holiday in Dubai, London, Istanbul, or Paris. Look forward to delicious regionally inspired cuisine, enjoy free-flowing premium drinks, and relax to your favorite movies on the way. Because it's not just about the destination, it's how you get there. This year, fly Emirates. Fly better.
Equality, human dignity, freedom of movement and residence. Life, everyone has the right to life. Human Rights Month on SAFM.
MasterChef, the biggest, most loved culinary TV show on the planet, is coming to S3. And this fresh local version of MasterChef South Africa will cook up a storm on S3 for the first time in 2024. And of course, you can enter on www.masterchefsa.tv and start prepping for the opportunity to win R1 million and the prestigious title of Mzansi's new MasterChef. Remembering that entries close on the 15th of March, so you just have 3 days. Channel a better you only on S3.
Made in SA with Bridget Masinga.
Well, I mean,
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I was about to say before they jumped in my mouth that we certainly are not made in SA, but we are in conversation today with activist and, of course, feminist Khanyisile Mlambo as we discuss, the politics of the woman's body and the sense of entitlement that we're seeing growing more and more, particularly in our social spaces around women's reproductive choices, the need for people to weigh in and have an opinion in as far as those choices are concerned. And I wonder what your thoughts are. 086 000 2032 061 410 4107. It boils down to even simple engagements like we often have in our households with Abo Rakhadi and Abo Malume. You come home for umcimbi or umgidi, and the first thing that they say is, are you pregnant? And it seems like a simple, casual comment, but it's loaded with so much more, Khanyisile.
I fully agree with you because there are so many dimensions to this conversation, because not only is that insinuation appalling because, well, at the end of the day, that should be something that I finally feel comfortable enough to share with you, not have to confirm because of an assumption that you've already made. Secondly, I think we continuously fail to realize that women's bodies change. There's the weight elements to this. That, because your face looks a bit more round and you look a bit more bigger, maybe it's that you're pregnant because, well, we've seen you get married, you've reached a certain age, so it's about time. That also then adds on to the dimension of choosing when women should make what decisions and why. There's almost this sort of move to continuously parentalize women. Because each and every time a decision can be made for us, and we don't have the autonomy to fully make those decisions ourselves.
And the danger in that also is on a social level, someone will go, but what's wrong with that? We family and I'm just having a conversation with you. But on a broader level, it also speaks to the policing and the policies that are sort of rolled out in policing women's behaviors, in making those choices for women without women being involved in them. I'm thinking of everything that's going on in the U.S. with Roe versus Wade, for instance, and just the rolling back and literally the extraction of pro-choice rights without consulting any female.
Yeah, I think the U.S. is such an interesting case study for this because... Can you still hear me?
Yes,
so I think my line was cutting out a bit.
No, I can.
So I think that the U.S. is such an interesting case because they had seemed to have made so many great developments and so many progressive stances on just women and just... Even when we think about the LGBTQI plus community in America finally having the right to get married, we saw the U.S. have so many progressive stances and changes, and it had seemed like they are the ones who could potentially push a more progressive agenda, a more equal and inclusive agenda, only for them to decide, no, actually, maybe we need to restrict the rights of women even more. And again, it's a matter of parentalizing women and telling women what they can and cannot do, because men have all the autonomy in the world. They can decide whether they want to have children or not. If they wish, they can get a vasectomy, and they're lucky because if they wish, they can also get the vasectomy reversed. But when it comes to the rights of women, there's consistently actually, maybe let us help you make the best choice that is maybe not in your favor, but is in my favor.
And I think that last point is exactly where the truth lies. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. If you have any thoughts on this conversation, 086-000-2032. Do you think that there's anything wrong, perhaps, with the sort of push back against women's rights, particularly women's reproductive rights? Or do you think, as we sit here in conversation with Kanyisi, we're making much ado about nothing? Because there are also people who firmly believe that you girls are just making a noise about nothing. Feel free to send through a voice note, or you can give us a call. In fact, let's go to WhatsApp before we... No, not really. Okay, let's not do that then. But we are waiting for your voice notes. You can feel free to send them through. The news headlines is coming up in just a moment with Anne Musa. I'm reluctant to segue into our next thought with Kanyisile because I know that in just a matter of moments I have to take the headline news. So let's go to Anne Musa with that, and then we'll come back on the other side.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Bridget. In the headlines, the case of two men accused of the killing of Keenan, aka Forbes, and his friend Tibelo Tibbs Mutswane has been postponed to the 20th of this month, pending South Africa's extradition application. Advocate Mfesane Siboto says one of the EFF MPs charged with disrupting President Cyril Ramaphosa's budget vote speech on the 9th and 10th of June 2022 was not in the House. He was speaking during a hearing by Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee on the matter. And the BBC says it has seen evidence that medical staff were detained and beaten when Israeli forces overran a hospital in Gaza last month. I'll have details on these and other stories at 2.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice note on 0614 104 107.
Hi, Bridget. So this thing really bothers me because first thing, I couldn't be bothered when I'm having a child because I'm not married. That's just a choice that I made for myself, which I'm not having a child outside of wedlock. However long that takes, even if I don't get married, that is fine by me. I'm not in a hurry to get a child. I'm not after children. But my family does not understand that. They feel like I'm getting older. I had this argument with my aunt and her daughter because they had kids quite young. My aunt was 17 and my cousin was 19. So now my cousin and I are both in our 30s. And they're like, we're going to have our second babies. That's not my cousin saying that. She's going to have her second baby. And I don't even have my first. And why am I not having a child? Time is ticking. And when I do want children, it will be too late. I'm like, that is my decision to make. Because first of all, you're not going to feed these kids on my behalf. I'm still trying to feed myself. So, for me, being pregnant right now, even in my 30s, I feel like it's teen pregnancy for me because I'm not prepared for the responsibility of having a child. And people don't get it. They think like, yeah, you are in your 30s, you should be this, you should be that. It doesn't work like that.
Hello, Bridget, and your guest. Such an important discussion, and I don't even know how to express.
All right, keep the voice notes coming. We're just having one or two technical issues right now, but our WhatsApp is live. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line if you want to send through a voice note, or 086-000-2032. Let me see. Let's go to WhatsApp. We are trying to, I want to just read some messages there if you can push them up for me. But again, very important conversation, Kanyisile. And I think if we take it to you know, our homes, specifically in our personal relationships, how do we bridge the understanding between generations? Because sometimes I feel that the sort of the missed opportunity to understand in order for us to change behaviors is where the danger lies, as the young kids would say. You know, Rakhadi, your mother, Gogo, they don't see anything wrong with weighing in on your choices, whereas you are trying as this generation to assert that there is definitely, this is not your place, you are crossing boundaries.
Well, I think for me, it's also a matter of understanding where this whole thing comes from, right? The constant pressure for women to have children when they reach a certain age or when they've just gotten married, that this is something that used to happen way back when, a long time ago, when women were consistently just seen as caretakers of the household and children factories of the household. So our purpose in society lied in what we could basically give to everyone else. Now, the interesting thing about now is that we have a lot more choices as women to decide when and how I want to have a child and with whom I want to have a child, whether I'm married or not, what age I deem the right age to then have a child. All of these are now decisions that women can choose to make on their own. So it's almost as if society is going into this frenzy of being schizophrenic because, how are they now able to make these decisions? And we've always been, and we always should have been able to make these decisions ourselves, but continuously our autonomy was grabbed out of us. So I think when it comes to having this conversation at home, it's just a matter of telling your parents, telling your family members that this is not something I'm interested in doing. My womb, my choice. I don't even feel the need to continue to explain the reason, whether it being that I am infertile, whether it being that I am not ready, whether it being that I just don't think I've made my mind up on having children, regardless of my age. These are conversations that we need to let out into our families and let people around us know, because my womb, my choice, regardless of your intent with asking the question.
Yeah. Let's go to WhatsApp.
Hello, Bridget, and your guest. Such an important discussion, and I don't even know how to express my outrage, especially what I saw the other day on Twitter about one of the famous, persons in South Africa. The disrespect that people just get away with, especially on social media. People who think that they own you actually, and they can say what they can about your reproductive rights or about you as a woman who's married and doesn't have children, and they think that they have a right to question that. It's just utter disgusting, disrespectful, unprincipled, and people just get away with it because they hide their faces, especially on Twitter.
Yeah, a very important point indeed. We have some WhatsApp messages here. Someone anonymous wrote, "The purpose of pro-life laws are to protect life, are to protect the life of the most vulnerable, the child. I applaud the U.S. efforts in overthrowing the abortion laws. Someone must stand for the defenseless." It's a very polarizing conversation, and this particular sentiment is one that I think divides rooms completely in half. Can you see that?
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And I'd just really like to respond to Anonymous's comments about being pro-life and how that basically defends the life of, I guess, in that moment, according to Anonymous, the most precarious being the child. But I think we then fail to consider the autonomy of the mother, and that at the end of the day, this is the mother's body. And she will make the decision that she feels is best for her.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be able to dictate what the next person does on their body. The same way how if you're pro-life, you wouldn't want a person to dictate what you need to do with your child and your pregnancy.
Yeah, so true.
So I think we tend to only understand self-autonomy when it comes to ourselves, but we fail to understand that the next person has as much autonomy as we do.
Some more messages coming in. It could be the same person. As a woman, I believe we can do anything. It's a shame society has influenced us into believing that a mother killing her child is the only way forward. Again, it's a matter of, as you say, autonomy cannot be understood from the perspective when it's only affecting you. You also have to understand it from other people's perspectives. Another message coming in. Afternoon, Bridget. Women have the right to decide whether they choose to fall pregnant. Contraceptives are widely available if you do not want to be pregnant. But the moment you decide to fall pregnant, you have the responsibility to look after the life that is in you. That's the other missing thing from this conversation, right? Is we're talking about female bodies and the policing of female bodies and female choices. And this casts the light on the other conversation that goes in tandem with this to say, why is it the responsibility of the woman, for instance, in pregnancy to be the one who safeguards against pregnancy when a man has every much the choices as well to be able to safeguard against making a woman pregnant?
I think that that's actually a very important aspect of this conversation, because we continuously forget how much trauma the female body experiences. We continuously forget the plight of females, even when we are females ourselves, because I've seen so many, as Anonymous was referring, the story that's currently trending on Twitter, I saw so many posts, and not all of them are from men. Not all of these intrusive thoughts, these intrusive comments are from men.
Yeah.
We don't really acknowledge the plight of women in society and the trauma that the female body actually then encounters. Because if we were more sympathetic to that aspect, maybe we would then understand why women want to make that choice themselves, whether they have children, whether they do not have children.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's jump to WhatsApp. Okay, let's jump to a call and then we'll see about WhatsApp. Ben in Randburg, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Go ahead.
I am struggling to be on board completely with your conversation. First of all, I need to just put in a disclaimer. I have the utmost respect for women because I was carried by a woman for 9 months. The only reason I even have this privilege is because a woman brought me here. So I have the utmost respect and honor that I place on women. I have a daughter in my home that I have raised. She is 23, pushing 24. I didn't raise my daughter to primarily recognize herself first and foremost as a woman. I wanted to raise a human being. So I raised her first and foremost to recognize herself as a human being. And then secondly, as a woman. Because that was important for me to just entrench that she doesn't have to put herself in this box. Rather, she must identify herself with everybody else and latch onto every right that every human being on the planet should have.
Ben, can we wrap it there because I've run out of time, but I think I get the gist of the first part of the commentary. And then let me give Kanyisile the last word on this conversation.
My last word on this conversation relates to the last point you actually made. And I think it's important that going forward, we realize that men do have as much responsibility when it comes to the pregnancy conversation and if a woman falls pregnant. We also then need to realize that so many things can go wrong in order for a woman to find themselves pregnant. It's not always an intentional thing that was planned by women. Lastly, we really need to take it seriously when people say, my womb, my choice. Because that simply means that I should have autonomy over my body. In the same way how you do not want the next person to infringe on the autonomy you have on your body, let me have mine.
Yeah. Kanyisile Mlambo, thank you so much for the conversation. Indeed, that was Kanyisile, feminist and activist. We have to leave it there, unfortunately, because we have to move on to stages, pages, screens and more. But if I can, I'll get around to some of your WhatsApps that I so clearly see and share those in a moment.
Introducing a collection of Audi Black and Urban Special Edition models crafted for the bold and curated for the progressive. From the sporty Audi S3 and elegant A4 to the distinctive Q2 and Q3, each vehicle has been created to be an extension of your identity. Style, design, comfort and technology is yours to own with a guaranteed future value and a competitive monthly installment through Audi Financial Services. Visit audi.co.za to discover more.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1 hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, 15 March 2024 at the SABC Gqeberha Studios in Eastern Cape. Rhodes University will take on Nelson Mandela University in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent and non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation. Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
Princeton Duane, what did you make of the weekend's racing?
The mid-track, which is a very battle, that's looking very interesting right now. It seems like a three-horse race for at least the time being until we see the updates being phased in with each of the teams. I think Mercedes, McLaren, and Aston Martin, ironically enough, all of them using the same power unit, are in a battle for being best of the rest. Other than Ferrari, of course, which is clear favorite. I think, that's going to be very interesting because their pace really seems matched at the moment.
Top Sport on SAFM.
The Powerball jackpot, estimated at 76 million rand, is set to make it rain lots of cash this March. That's right, play Powerball for an estimated 76 million rand jackpot this Tuesday, and as luck could be on your side. Buy your tickets now in store on, of course, nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Push a Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba, the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Stages, pages, screens, and more on the Full Circle.
Yeah,
Brian,
it's spelled Patuli.
I mean, we're on air now, Brian. Brian Patudi is Patudi.
Patudi, yeah.
Oh, so the L is a D.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Gisisuit.
ne? How are you doing? Brian is the founder of The Great Escape, and he joins me this afternoon to tell us more about The Great Escape Camp. It's a camp and music festival.
Yes.
All right, elaborate for me.
So, yeah, it happens in Clarence. We in the Maluti Mountains.
Nice.
I'm from Harrismith in Dabazo.
Yeah.
So we started camping from back then. And people caught on to the camping lifestyle thing. And we thought, how about we add music to this thing? So the idea was born in that sense. It was called something else before, but it went through its own challenges because at the time it was Back to the Bush Festival.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Then we found there's another Back to the Bush Festival in Europe. So we're like, let's make the call now. And we made it. Then we got hit by COVID. And now we're here with The Great Escape.
The Great Escape. Yeah. I rather like The Great Escape Camp and Music Festival. It's got a nice ring to it. Clarence is a beautiful setting for this 4-day event.
Oh, yeah. Very majestic. I mean, we got mountains that people can hike on. They can go see waterfalls, horse riding. You've got 4x4 trails. You've got all amazing things. I mean, the Basotho Cultural Village is also there. Clarence also has its own brewery. So there's a lot of rich germs around Clarence itself. So it's a fantastic location to be in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And 4 days is the duration of the festival. Some might go, oh my gosh, Brian, 4 days, that's a long time. But it seems like there's a lot of activities in and around.
There's a lot to do. I mean, we even appealing to the what you call it, youth and dala.
Yes,
I mean, we used to play about Ama-Ali, Ama-Khadi, Mpusha, things like that. So we also bring things like that into play. So there'll be plenty to do.
Yeah.
From hiking on all those things. I see those, on-site festival activities. There are plenty group games, that sort of thing. And there's a long lineup. So
lovely.
3 days is not going to help it.
Right? It certainly is not. Now, tell me, in terms of, we've touched a little bit about some of the things. Is there a big sort of, because you say the genesis came from like hiking trips and things of that sort. Are we seeing a big mobilization, particularly amongst us, black people, to get out into the elements and enjoy these kinds of festivals?
Oh, no, definitely. Look, how it started, like I indicated, that we started camping, and I was working for an Afrikaans firm.
Yeah.
And we had friends who just took us camping, so we got into it, and now this thing became an activity. And obviously they kicked us off at a couple of campsites because of noise or sound and so on. And we thought, can't we make it a camp thing? But with the black people are just warming up to it more and more and more. Then we called it Back to the Bush, and then I started calling people bush babies and things like that. But I was just appealing to the fact that, look, we are coming from such areas where yes. You know what I mean? I mean, these are things that we'll be doing there. Yeah. So we just want to touch into that essence of Ubuntu and where we come from.
True.
And especially, hence the location is so beautiful, So this is what we'll be doing there, and we're just throwing a dope lineup on that.
Yeah.
And we're just going to be jamming and cooking and eating and walking and swimming.
I love
riding
it.
Horses, Yeah,
and so in fact, you are very right? Because we all come from some place.
Yeah.
And the places that we come from are often in tuned with the environment. And you've peppered in some glamour and some entertainment to it.
Most of the job was done for me.
I love it.
Most of the job was done for me.
Right? So from the musical elements, what are we to expect?
You know what? We went a different route this time.
Yeah.
And what we always appreciate about these festivals we've done, we like them to grow organically. It shouldn't be something that's going to be shoved down your throat with heavy marketing. And it's something that you want to buy into because you want to meet like-minded people. So that just keeps on extending and extending because you bring more people every time. So we try to balance this out as much as we can. You know, some of us love jazz and it goes too heavy.
Yes.
Sometimes we want piano and then it becomes too much. So we want to balance. We got because our daughter coming in on that heavy groove element side of things. You got guys like Sinom Solo, which is a piano artist, but he's doing this on a jazz live band sort of setup. And we also brought in someone like Bongani Dube to be our MC.
Lovely.
A fantastic guy, and we've met a couple of times. So we're just trying to balance a lot of elements. So you got jazz, you got house, you got deep house, you got commercial. So it's a lot.
Right?
It's a lot. 4 days is a long time.
It's a long time, and Saturday's got a different mood to a Sunday, and we know the culture. So for anybody that, as we wrap it up, because I have to get into Kids Corner, for those that are now sort of interested and intrigued to get out to the Great Escape, firstly, when is it happening and where do we book?
29 March to the 1st of April.
Okay, so it's on that long weekend.
Yep, we thought about this. We needed people to recover.
Okay.
It tends to happen if you need recovery, you know.
Yes.
Especially you think that it takes 3 days, man. It's like having a minor surgery. You know?
I can't feel.
So we're doing it then. You can get your tickets at CompuTicket. And what we have done is that we invited a number of camping communities. So if you have camped with some people who are on our list, you can find your people there and you know which campsite you'll be.
Oh, lovely.
So that's how we brought other camping fraternities on board to say, look.
Like-minded people indeed. Brian, thank you so much for coming through. I will reconfirm the details for those listening if they want to know, and we'll put up the link also on our social media handles. That was Brian Patudi joining us, founder of The Great Escape. It's happening at the end of the month. 4 days of glorious fun. It's camping and music all merged into one. Kids Corner is coming right up.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Good day, my name is Nantlekakela. Yes, I have been sick at school. I would suffer from headaches. Luckily, our school has a sick room. I would tell my register teacher that I was not feeling well, and then they would take me to the sick room and would call my parents. It's important for us to report any ill health to the teachers so that they can channel everything accordingly. Because sometimes if you tell your friends only and not report to the teachers, you might cause delays in getting help or maybe even do unsafe things trying to manage the situation by yourselves.
Hi, my name is Danny Kabud. I've gotten sick at school many times before. When I get sick at school, I usually just tell a teacher or my friends, or I try and do what I like to call thugging it out. Yes, there is a sick bay at my school. The first person I feel I need to tell when I'm sick in school is either my best friend Jordan or my school mother Lyra. I know a lot of people who got sick at school and got help from friends instead of teachers. I personally think that the correct thing to do is to tell a teacher or an adult when you feel sick at school so that they can help you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Monet Angel Ngavera. I'm in grade 8. Yes, I have gotten sick at school, and what I did when I was sick is that I told my teacher because I was dizzy and I also had a headache, so she was just like, go drink water and then you'll feel better. Yes, there is a sick bay at my school, and the first person that I need to tell when I feel sick at school is my teacher, and then maybe if my teacher is not there, I tell somebody that is like an assistant at school to help me. So nobody that I really know at school has gotten sick and then got help from friends rather than teachers, because the teachers always know what to do at that time. So what I do think is important is telling our teachers what's wrong so that they can help us in the correct way that we need to get helped. Let us learn to know what to do if we get sick while at school, because we can get like poisoned just by a small mistake. We can, like, something bad can happen in just a split second. So let us learn to go to our teachers when we are sick. Thank you and have a lovely day.
Greeting everyone. My name is Tanyani Ramatsuha. I'm in grade 6 at Tumbedzo Primary School. Today I need to tell you more about the day I was sick at school. When I entered the gate, my tummy was painful, so I ignored it and I think that it will pass. So when I entered the small gate, my tummy was painful too much. So I ran and told my teacher. My teacher called my father and my father came and fetched me. So after, my father takes me to the hospital. When he got to the hospital, they told him that I was sick and I need to take these pills, antibiotics that I can heal. The important thing I need to tell you guys is that telling the teacher when you are sick is a good idea because they can always help you when you need help, because of you can't stay at school while you are sick. That is not the rules. Thank you, everyone.
Good day, parents. My name is Kapiamba. My son is Dianabo, and I'm 12 years old. Yes, I have gotten sick at school. I went to the office. My parents could have been called. Yes, there is a sick bed by school. I think I first need to tell my teacher. Yes, I know someone who got help from a friend. I think we should tell the teachers.
Hello everybody, my name is Tilifelo Mwenge. I have gotten sick in school, but one common thing that I'd get sick at school from was maybe a flu because I was playing in the rain, or maybe I was walking around a lot on my feet with no shoes when I was walking outside and all of that. What I did at school when I was sick is that I went to the sick room and I laid down a bit, and then if the sickness wasn't getting any better, I'd just go home until I was feeling better, then I'd come back at school. In my opinion, I feel like the most important person we need to tell at school when we're feeling sick is maybe the receptionist lady, or maybe the school nurse, or maybe a teacher that you trust. I do remember at some point me and my friends helping one of my friends, or helping one of our friends get better, or we just took them to the sick room ourselves because the teachers were really busy and they had a lot on their hands. And besides, they are friends. That's what friends are for. We need to help our friends and lend a helping hand when there's nobody there to help our friends. I feel like the correct thing to do is to tell his teacher straight away that someone is not feeling good, because we're not nurses and we don't know what we're doing when someone is sick. We don't know what to do, and we don't want to infect ourselves as well. You never know, what if the sickness is very serious and now you're also getting yourself involved and you're going to be very sick as well. You just want to avoid unnecessary sicknesses.
Hello friends, do you have any experience of getting sick while at school? Sickness can be a bad experience. Many of us have become ill while at school. Some may start to have severe headaches, nosebleed, common cold or flu, diarrhea, food allergies and other sicknesses while in class or during school activities. While becoming sick at school is bad enough, not reporting to your teacher is much worse. While some illnesses may be minor, some require immediate medical attention from the school nurse. As a result, we must prevent the tendency to not report our illnesses while at school. Here are a few things you should do if you get sick at school. The first thing you should do is report your sickness to your class teacher in detail. It is critical that you speak to your teacher right away, telling them about all your symptoms and concerns. If you feel they do not understand the severity of the symptoms or how much it is bothering you, repeat yourself to emphasize. Reach out to your friend. Let a friend know that you are not feeling well. Friends may help us with the Sick at School survival kit, or they may report our sickness to the teacher or school nurse on our behalf. While you wait to get help, ask for a comfortable area to sit. It is very important to ask to remain isolated from the class. Sit in a separate, quiet area where you can rest and stay calm while waiting for help. You cannot avoid getting sick at school, but if it happens, at least now you know what you have to do.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
In our top stories, Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee hearing on EFF matter and case against 2 men accused of killing AKA and Tibbs postponed. Good afternoon. Advocate Mfesane Kasiboto says one of the EFF MPs charged with disrupting President Cyril Ramaphosa's budget vote speech on the 9th and 10th of June 2022 was not in the House. Kasiboto, acting for the EFF, questioned the Secretary to the National Assembly, Masibulele Xaso, on the accuracy of the members who were charged. He was speaking during a hearing by Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee on the matter. Kasiboto is representing the EFF MPs who were removed from the chamber during the President's speech. He says Nonhlanhla Mkonto, one of those charged with contempt of Parliament, was not in the House. Xaso, who is a witness in the hearing, was questioned about it. The case of 2 men accused of the killing of Keenan aka Forbes and his friend Tibelo Tibbs Mutswane has been postponed to the 20th of this month pending South Africa's extradition application. Siyabonga and Malusi Ndimande appeared in the Manzini Magistrates Court in Eswatini this morning. They were arrested in the capital Mbabane 3 weeks ago. The accused are implicated in the killing of 2 more people in KwaZulu-Natal between February and March last year. They face 4 counts of murder, attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The Ekurhuleni Council has reconvened a meeting following chaos that ensued during the last sitting, where a motion of no confidence against the executive mayor, Sivihile Ngondwana, was tabled. Ngondwana, who's a councillor from the African Independent Congress, has been Ekurhuleni's mayor since last year. He was elected following the cooperation agreement entered into between the ANC, EFF and other smaller parties. The motion has been brought by Action SA, who've cited problems of service delivery that has affected residents of Ekurhuleni. Councillors are currently debating on whether the sitting should start first with the tabling of the Auditor General's report or with a vote of no confidence.
We cannot continue with the extraordinary council meeting first. We have to resume the ordinary council meeting of the 29th of February, finish the business of that meeting, and then proceed to the extraordinary council meeting. Thank you very much.
Councillors, you are welcome to take the matter forward in any way that you feel is how you want to do it, but we are going to proceed with the extraordinary council meeting.
Services at the Road Accident Fund are expected to be affected on Thursday when workers affiliated to the National Union of Metal Workers South Africa down tools. NUMSA says it will mobilize its members to shut down all REF offices. Union members will also march to the offices of the National Transport Department in Pretoria to hand over a memorandum. Their demands include the reinstatement of 200 suspended colleagues for alleged fraud. NUMSA spokesperson Pagamile Hlubi Majola.
We are demanding that the RAF CEO, Collins Letswalo, must be removed because of the disastrous state of the entity. RAF is a public entity whose core function is to compensate victims of road accidents. Mr. Letswalo behaves as if he is untouchable, which is why the RAF is in shambles. There is a complete failure to regulate his behavior, and it seems even the board of the Road Accident Fund is helpless in the face of his gross incompetence. NUMSA is demanding that Collins Letswalo must be fired for the disastrous state of the Road Accident Fund.
3 suspected illegal miners will appear in the Polokwane Magistrates Court in Limpopo today. The suspects, all foreign nationals, were arrested for alleged involvement in illegal gold mining in Bergnek village outside Polokwane. The police spokesperson, Malisela Lidwaba.
It is reported that members of SAP's Capricorn District Illicit Mining Task Team on Sunday acted swiftly following an information about unlawful dealing in precious minerals. They spotted a motor vehicle, silver Toyota Corolla Tez, parked in front of the gate of a farm at Bergnek in Westernburg policing area. Upon searching the vehicle and the 3 occupants, the police discovered substantial amount of money and gold-bearing ore as well as pocket scale. The suspects were also found to be illegal foreigners.
Recapping the top story, Advocate Mfesane Kasiboto says one of the EFF MPs charged with disrupting President Cyril Ramaphosa's budget vote speech on the 9th and 10th of June 2022 was not in the House. He was speaking during a hearing by Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee on the matter. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Trials, more than I can bear. Everything was going wrong. No one seems to care. But when I called upon your name, you came and rescued me. You said, stand on my word, everything will be fine. Trials, more than I could bear. Everything was going wrong. No one seems to care. But when I call upon your name, you came and rescued me. You said, stand on my word, everything will be fine. Change comes, I will praise the Lord for victory, 'cause there's no one who understands me quite like him. I have been through many trials, more than I could bear. Everything was going wrong. Nobody seems to care. But when I called upon your name, you came and rescued me. You said, stand on my word, everything will be fine. Oh Lord, I will hold until my change comes. I will stand until my change comes.
discovered my life, and I thought I was going to die in it. But the hand of God picked me from that darkness. He washed me and set my feet on the rock. And the voice of God became so clear. Only then was I persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor depths, nor heights were able to separate me from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus. For in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that has already loved us. We are troubled on every side, but not distressed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned. We are cast down, but not destroyed. For they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength and mount up high with wings as the eagle. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. When my soul is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I will wait till my change comes. My change has come. My change has come. My change has come. Hallelujah. My change has come. My change has come.
And that is how we've entered ourselves into the second hour of the show. It's just gone 10 past 2 o'clock. Hope you are having a good day. Listen, we still are receiving your opinions about our earlier conversation indeed. And at any time we sort of touch those topics around the, autonomy of female choices, it seems to stir up some kind of conversations. And there's so many things that are sort of coupled with that, right? So many other dynamics that come into these conversations that it's easy to veer off into other themes that are related, but we'll unpack those other secondary themes. We've got a long year ahead of us. Right now, we are opening the line 086 000 2032 or 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through a voice note. We are looking at homeopathic remedies and methods and ways for all kinds of illnesses. Homeopath is a holistic system of medicine, but it can be incorporated, of course, into other more westernized medical practices, and we thought we'd invite expert Dr. Tolagele Sikukune to join us, who is a homeopath herself and a practicing family doctor. How are you doing this afternoon, Dr. Tools? Good, doctor? Okay. Let's take a break while we find the good doctor. But we'll be covering all kinds of grounds today. This is just a general conversation. So if, there are things that you have tried and that have worked for you, alternative remedies and medicines and methods that you swear by, that you'd like to share, that you saw make a difference in whatever you were treating or whatever you were attending to, you can share with us, and we'll listen with an attentive ear. We can disagree. Maybe some people go, that thing didn't work for me, and that's perfectly fine as well. It's an information sharing session. Let's go to a quick break.
Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear on SAFM.
What constitutes an unlawful disclosure of somebody's personal information? What constitutes a list and a breach of the POPIA Act?
Aldrin, we cannot be looking at what would be happening in future. If any responsible party that is in possession of personal information must secure the personal information. And the authorized people are the ones that are supposed to be publishing that personal information in question. So it is not a mitigating factor, the fact that this information is taken out in the public domain because somebody says, in any event, in future this information was going to be made public through legislative means.
The executive in charge of Popia with the information regulator, Advocate Tsepo Buikanyo.
Beyond the headline on SAFM, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Someone had asked me earlier, by the way, Uguti, what is my faith? Because I always wrap up the show by saying, Inshallah, God willing. And today I was asking whether or not the moon rose yesterday to signify the beginning of Ramadan in the southern hemisphere. I practice Christianity, that is my faith, but I do have Islamic family. And so I go between the two, and I just think it's only common courtesy to observe other people's faiths and religions as well. So yes, to those that are celebrating Ramadan or observing the month of Ramadan, may you have a great Ramadan, and may it yield for you. We are catching up with Dr. Tholakele Sikukune, who is a homeopath and family doctor, and we're talking all things. I don't want to say alternative medicines, Doc, because sometimes when we use the word alternative, people might think that, homeopathic practices are not necessarily the same or should not be given the same kind of due respect as Western medical practice. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm well, thank you, Bridget, and yourself?
I'm fantastic, thank you. And that's where the caution is, right? Because oftentimes when we talk about homeopathic practices or homeopathic medicine, people go alternative. And I almost feel like alternative gives it a negative connotation, or it's like it creates some kind of cautionary approach towards it.
Yes, and it's also more limiting in that, because I know, a large number of people who actually utilize homeopathy as a mainstream of medicine. So having to say just alternative, I feel that it's limiting us in terms of how we can actually convey the message of alternative therapies out there, outside the Western net, that can also yield fruitful outcomes. And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for in people. Whenever you go into your doctor or any healthcare provider, what you're looking for is a solution to the disease that you are experiencing. So we can be one of those just as much as any other, profession out there.
Absolutely. And some would argue that incorporating a homeopathic approach also creates a far more holistic wellness plan and approach.
Oh, yes, it does. And that is one thing that I advocate for most of my time. So if I have a patient that comes in and is already on Western medicine, I'll tell them you can use it as complementary to your Western, so as to nullify the side effects or any unpleasant effects you might be feeling. However, in majority of the times, what we focus on and zone into is to make sure that we treat mental, emotional, and physical ailments or aspects of an individual's life, making sure that we are touching the root cause of the matter and not just hitting the symptoms, and therefore giving us a more customized treatment plan for that individual and according to how they experience disease. So it is holistic in its approach.
And I think what you just said probably speaks to, and maybe where I should have begun this conversation, just speaks to the definition of what exactly is homeopathic medicine or homeopathy.
Yes, ma'am. So homeopathy is a system of medicine that was discovered around the 1700s, and it has been used to assist the body to heal itself in the most gentle, non-invasive, yet effective way. And it uses the principle of like cures like. So as we've mentioned, that we are holistic in our approach, where we factor in the mental, the emotional, and physical aspects of an individual to get to the root cause of the matter and customize the treatment according to how they experience the disease. And one thing that I love about homeopathy and how we practice is that we see symptoms as messengers. So it's a form of communication from our body to us, so that we can know what is out of balance within, internally, and what needs restoration yet again, and therefore we can touch base with it.
Are there any kind of misconceptions? I would presume there are when it comes to homeopathy.
Most of the time, people you find them saying we are herbalists. And I always say it's one of the things we incorporate in terms of our treatment plan and so forth. And the reason being is because we source most of our medication from plant sources. So automatically people think when you say that, oh, clearly you are a herbalist, and which is not true. We actually encompass so much more than just herbal. We also get some of our remedies from animal source and then mineral source as well, because we need minerals in our bodies for our bones, our joints, and many, many other functions and systems. And then another thing we look at holistically is we factor in external factors such as the lifestyle patterns, your diet, your sleep, your movement, which is exercise, hydration, and detoxification, because all these patterns, the lifestyle patterns, they play a huge role in preventing diseases and maintaining a good, healthy lifestyle. So you always want to make sure that whenever we're explaining what homeopathy is, you don't just go and say, we use plants to heal or assist the body, because then automatically people jump off herbalism.
Yes.
But we want to go in depth and make them understand. And simply put, it is a system of medicine that assists the body to heal itself in a holistic manner.
And I mean, truthfully saying, we see evidence, right, of people who've sort of deployed homeopathy measures and have been able to reverse back, some illnesses or some diagnosis. I'm thinking, for instance, last week or week before, we were having a conversation around endometriosis, and one of the more famous recent celebrities I'm thinking of is the actress Tia Mowry, who was diagnosed with endometriosis, and she took a homeopathic approach to her treatment and was able to successfully carry her third child, get pregnant, carry a child to term, and see a vast improvement even in her diagnosis, having used the natural homeopathic approaches.
Amen. That is indeed true. And that's why I always say whenever they say alternative, I feel that it's limiting. Because in this instance, if she's not, we don't know all the facts.
Yes.
However, if she just jumped for homeopathy solely on its own and all the other supplements that we prescribe alongside the remedies, then it has actually brought her back and restored her back to well-being. However, if she still uses it in conjunction with Western meds, the two collaborate together well. They work synergistically together, because what you're doing is you're preventing a lot of intake in terms of medication that can cause an imbalance in other systems other from the one that it's treating. And then you're also giving the nutrients the body needs so that it can heal itself, it can recover, and also clear out waste. So in her case, it was a hormonal imbalance. Majority of the time, as homeopaths, we are more in the preventative business, because we go into every aspect and we make sure that we try and show you the base on how to actually have good health and to prevent you being bedridden or admitted in hospital. However, we are able to even jump in whenever you've been diagnosed with a disease already, and we can reverse the effects. Other people will say it takes time, but I always say, if you've had a disease for 2 weeks, please do expect the same amount of time to clear it. It might be sooner than that, but expect that. And what my point being is, obviously, we know that nothing happens just overnight. Even if it's acute, it would have given you small yana symptoms initially before it got out of proportion or manifested much more larger.
Yeah.
So that means the same thing happens with homeo. Homeopathy can be fast-acting, whereas where we have an ailment that has been problematic to a patient for 2 weeks, and within an hour or two of administering the remedies, they feel that they are improving and they feel fine. But sometimes it can take a bit longer, and the reason being would be there are so many factors in that individual's body that need to be aligned so that everything can be in balance.
Yeah.
And that is it.
That makes sense to me. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on if you want to weigh in on the conversation. We have Soyama out in Kings Williamtown. I'm coming to you. I just want to jump to Mabena in Middleburg, who says, hey, Bridget, homeopathy should actually be considered mainstream while Western medicine be alternative, because we do know how homeopathy became branded as alternative. And I guess Mabena, they're taking a shot maybe at Big Pharma. Soyama out in King Williamstown, how are you?
Hello.
Yeah,
all right.
Right, wena.
Cool. I don't know if I had the topic right, or I'm going to be talking outside of a topic. You are talking about the home remedies that you use at home in order to treat yourself. All those medications that you'll be using, there is the Western medication, but then there is the home remedies that you use.
Yes, you can share, Puti, if you have a home remedy that maybe you are using, or something, and you feel that it works better than the Western ones.
Okay. No, the home remedies are real good because especially the ones that we used to use when we were towards around the COVID time, all those things that we used to treat the flu, all those ginger, all those things, so they are fine. It's right to use those cosmetics, but I just wanted to find out from your guest.
Yes.
Because they can be dangerous for the kids, especially for the kids, because the dosage that is not regulated, that you're supposed to put so much dosage. So how do you get around being a danger at the end for someone, especially for the kids? So just want to find out how to get to navigate that situation.
Okay, thank you very much, Butsoyama. So, Dr. Tools, you know, when we sort of use homeopathy methods with children, what are the cautionary tips that we should be looking out for, perhaps? And I'm sure if we're consulting someone like you who professionally practices homeopathy, then we are guided properly about what is appropriate and what is not.
Definitely, all right, indeed. So that's the first thing that I want to tell our listeners, that it is important to actually consult with a registered and qualified homeopath upon kickstarting any homeopathic treatment. So hearing what the gentleman said, is he uses home remedies and they are effective. And I'm happy with that, because that's another thing I do for my patients. I educate them on making food their medicine. And I show them how to actually control the portions and so forth. But that is a lifestyle most of the time. And the person would have initiated or kickstarted their wellness journey maybe with supplements, and then now that they're hitting maintenance, they're using food as their medicine. So coming back to kids with regards to home remedies, that one is a bit of a tricky one, because then I can't give you a definite, dosage on what to, or how frequently you are to administer it. But coming to the homeopathy side, which is the remedies that we formulate, because they are highly diluted, taking away the crude substance, which is what is the active material it's actually made of, that's how you actually get to remove the side effects that most people experience when taking medicine or any supplement. And therefore, we find that as much as everybody can benefit from homeopathic medicine, people that benefit the most are infants, due to the limitations that the Western side normally comes with. Therefore, they can't administer because they haven't tried it, or whatever the case might be. It is equivalent to pregnant women as well, as they suffer pregnancy symptoms of nausea and constipation and so forth. Homeopathy plays a very nice role in it, and makes sure also that it doesn't actually harm or affect the baby whatsoever. So yes, with kids, homeopathy is the best solution, because you know that from a kid who's literally, or a child who's born, within an hour or so, you can start administering homeopathic dosages if you see that there's something out of balance, and they'll be okay, and there's no need for worry or taking extra precautions, so long as you're under a supervised homeopath.
Yeah, because ultimately, I mean, from how I understand it, it is natural. Most of it comes from natural sources, and so limited damage under the right kind of supervision. We're going to take more calls on the other side of this. 086 000 2032 or 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. Let's jump to Anne for the headline news.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Bridget. In the headlines, the ANC has commended the Independent Electoral Commission for its swift response to the leaking of the candidates list for the ANC and the MK party. The commission earlier confirmed it has dismissed an employee responsible for the leak following an inquiry. Advocate Mfisane Kasiboto says one of the EFF MPs charged with disrupting President Cyril Ramaphosa's budget vote speech on the 9th and 10th of June 2022 was not in the House. He was speaking during a hearing by Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee on the matter. And state media in Russia say authorities have arrested a South Korean man on suspicion of espionage. The TASS news agency named him as Park Hoon-soon, who reportedly worked as a religious missionary. I'll have details on these and other stories at 3.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM. Call us on 086 000 2032.
It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, and we are in conversation with Dr. Tools this afternoon. Dr. Tolls is joining me this afternoon, and she's a family doctor and, of course, a homeopath practitioner. Lee, out in Johannesburg, just here around the corner. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm such long, Bridget. I told you I'm mad. I'm 75 years old and I'm mad. So now you're going to think me. Now you're going to think me even more mad. I have been with homeopaths ever since I was born.
Yes.
And I would never ever change because I've had serious things wrong with me. My mother only took us because she had arthritis and doctor couldn't cure her, so we went to a homeopath. It's been absolutely wonderful, and I commend anybody who just even wants to try it because I can highly recommend homeopathy, and that's from me having ulcers in my mouth and all sorts of peculiar things, and I just think it's the way to go because I just do.
Well, were you always, just out of curiosity, were you always into like natural remedies and natural vibes?
Well, yes, my mother only took us because of her arthritis, and ever since then, I've always found it to be very sensible because it's not a matter of curing a symptom. You find out what the underlying cause is, and you don't even give it a name. You just treat that.
Yeah.
And it takes longer to get better because it's natural. But I found that at school, if we got sick and my mother took us to a homeopath, it took longer to get better. But if we went to a doctor, you're back at school the next day, then you're sick a week later. So I've just found I've been extremely lucky and blessed and healthy, and my children as well, and so many people who I've recommended. It just seems to me extremely sensible, as mad as I am.
Well, listen, Lee, you are always welcome here, right? This is the home of the Mad Hatters, and we love to hear from you. That was Lee out in Joburg. And I think Dr. Tolls, Lee also speaks to what you're saying, right? So obviously we're not saying anything against Western medicine. We're just people sharing experiences. And for her, it seemed that if she went the Western route, yes, you got better quicker, but the thing might return again in a couple of weeks or somewhere down the line, whereas it seems as though from her experience, homeopathy took longer but went to the root cause of the problem. Doc, I think you got me on mute. I think the good doctor has got me on mute. Oh, there you are.
Sorry.
You're back. No, it's okay.
Am I back?
Yes,
okay.
You're back.
There we go. So I was saying that yes, she is correct, and it's based on the principle like cures like that I've previously mentioned. So with homeopathy, we believe in that because what it does is that it mirrors exactly the symptoms that a person is experiencing. And the stimulus that we're giving from a remedy point of view actually starts going to the root source. And what it does is it actually makes the body aware that there is a problem in a specific area and needs alignment. And not just that area alone, every other part, because systems link in our body. While on the Western side, they use, they believe in the principle named the opposites cure or assist, and therefore that can also be the one problem where it looks like it's acting quicker, but you find that once you're done with the treatment, 2 months down the line, it comes back again and again and again. And we are on a mission to clear it out completely, and we don't want it coming back again.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yes. Usipo out in, where are you, Sipo? Mount Elf. Homemade remedies and homeopathy are two separate things. Homeopathy is very well regulated, and its remedies are clearly indicated and marked. I thought I'd just help with that. Appreciate that, Sipo, because, yes, I was using them very much interchangeably, but I think also for me it's understanding that some of us will use home remedies and understand it to be homeopathy because, we grew up with Gogo saying, have a spoonful of ginger and this and that and the other. And it kind of works.
And that ties with the herbalism that I was telling you about earlier, that we just get into the category. So sometimes I just avoid, like going into that debate mostly what I look at is let me convey the message that is important for the person to understand. Then later on we can come back and now actually start defining accordingly and correctly so what is.
Yeah. Again, on WhatsApp, but let's see what's on your mind. We've got some voice notes.
There is absolutely zero proof that homeopathy works. The only science that is working for homeopathy is the placebo effect. Lee from Durban.
This Lee disagreeing with the other Lee.
And he's not the only one. And trust me, I'm open to this because you understand that not everything works for everybody. And most people will always say homeopathy is a placebo effect, which is not entirely true because there is actually active ingredients in what we give, but it's just that it's in minute doses that you can't really pick it up the way you normally use the formulation to pick up on Western medicine. So that's why, because they want to use the standard of Western medicine to measure homeopathy, which is not fair, because then the two are different, operating on different principles and levels, and that's where it comes in. But fully understanding where he's coming from, mostly because another thing is, you mentioned the big pharma, so that means that takes priority and mainstream. With us, we will always come through on Google searches and so forth that we have limited scientific research on our formulations and our ways. And the reason being is because we don't have much support financially to actually see large groups of people and do case studies on that. However, to acquire the master's degree in homeopathy, you actually do your thesis. And that's how we're actually increasing the knowledge and the know-abouts regarding our profession, which is homeopathy.
Yeah. Mandla out in Free State, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm fine, and you, Bridget. I've just tuned now.
Yes.
I'm told you're speaking to the doctor.
Yes.
Yes, there are remedies that, because my son, a 23-year-old son, was diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, you see. But now I don't have money, I've been trying this. People say his eyes are coming out of what you call the socket, you see, eye socket, you see. I've tried this and this. Due to the fact that I don't have medical, you see, I'm doing odd jobs. We've tried this. It's 3 months now.
Mandla, what is the question, Baba?
Yeah, these remedies that you use, the home remedies that you use for your what you call for any sickness. Or maybe I didn't get the...
you know what we'll do? Because, I always err on the side of caution when we are in conversation with medical professionals. But Mandla, perhaps I will ask Dr. Tolls if there is a homeopath practitioner in Free State or a center that maybe you can direct towards where a consultation can be had one-on-one with Mandla and a second opinion maybe even.
Yes, ma'am, we'll do so. So we do have a group of people that we actually we share patients across provinces and countries because we understand that we can't reach to everybody. But should there be that we're not finding assistance from him, we can always do a virtual consultation just to assist, and kickstart the journey while we're looking for somebody closer to him.
Awesome. Okay, we'll do that. Maybe we'll hold on to his number and see if we can't find someone who practices in the Free State that can give him an opinion. Michael out in Kabeja, how are you, Bab?
I'm good. let me bring another angle to this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at colonization, right? If you take let's say Christianity for that matter, right? Christianity was brought by colonizers, right? They brought Christianity. Whether one believes in Jesus or not, I don't want to get into that, but it was brought by colonizers, right? And so if you look at medicine as we understand it now, right, before Western medicine, if you go back 3,000, 4,000 years, African ancient history, we were using herbs. We were using natural herbs to cure so many things. In fact, as a matter of fact, most of Greek doctors, the ancient ones, they studied in Alexandria in Africa. So I think it's a question of a mindset to say, how do you shift the mind to understand that herbs can work? That's where it is. And also, don't forget, big pharma is quite huge. It's big, and they are run like a cartel. So it's not something that you can just get away from. But herbs, natural herbs, used properly, rightly, does work.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Michael. Should we skip on over to WhatsApp quickly? Okay, no, it's doing a little freeze on us. But I get Michael's sentiment there, Dr. Tolls.
Yes, same here. And that's how it is. It's mostly, as I've mentioned, that Big Pharma has been around for the longest time, taken the lead, have the finances and funds to actually push whatever it is in terms of medicine-wise that they want people to know out there. When we on our side are a bit limited, so that means we have to ourselves from our own pockets, or whoever is willing to actually assist us on that level. But one thing I've told myself is I'm going to spread it one person at a time, and I know that because I'm constantly doing my best at it, I know that it has a ripple effect to their family and friends, so that they can be exposed to other therapies out there outside the one that we know as mainstream.
And what do we say to those who often, because you know, the likes of yourself do get pushback, and there are those who sort of say, but it lacks scientific evidence to support its efficacy.
Yep, we have a whole lot of people actually do that, and it's okay. There's a time and place for everything, as much as I said, it's different strokes for different folks. But one thing I've noticed with such people, if they come into the school, it's either I would mostly prescribe something to a family member close to them who would take it and perhaps maybe share with them, and they start feeling effects of it. Then you find that they come back and say, I want to try that exact thing again, and nothing else. So bit by bit, you actually show them and open them up to say, look, there are other things that can work in conjunction with Western, or you can completely go into homeopathy and let it be your primary healthcare source. But at the present moment, it is entirely up to a person, and there is no offense taken. One thing I'll always do is try and put out a good word for our profession, because I've seen the things it's done for the people I've treated, as well as before I even started treating, and I'm still seeing those effects even today. So when the mainstream has struggled on certain things because they don't have much on the preventative measure, but they're more on the curing and operations and so forth, we come in very nicely with promising outcomes of actually assisting on the preventative measure.
Dr. Tolls, we have to leave it there for this afternoon, but always a pleasure. That was Dr. Tolagele Sikukune, who is a family doctor and practicing homeopath, and that is where we leave the conversation. Our WhatsApp is tekering a little bit today, so if we didn't get around to some of your voice notes, we apologize. We are trying profusely. If you are on the live stream, you obviously have the benefit of watching the behind the scenes, and you can kind of see that there's something going on here, even though we're trying to maintain some kind of calm during the live broadcast. Hopefully we get it sorted out, and it will be running perfectly smooth by the time Aldrin St. Pierre gets here for Beyond the Headline. He's slowly strolling into the vicinity to let us know what's coming up today. You know, he relishes in just making me wait for him to come and give us the highlights of the show. Let's take a quick break, and then we come right back.
Business owners, don't waste your time searching for an employee that has it all. They do not exist. But I will tell you what does exist. The Kia K2700 Workhorse. It's versatile, powerful, and reliable. It also arrives on time every day. Plus, you get 40,000 Rand cashback. It's the business partner you've been waiting for. Visit your nearest Kia dealership for a test drive. T's and C's apply.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
FC Cole will put their best foot forward to grab maximum points on home soil to run away from the danger zone. Meanwhile, RB Leipzig enjoys every moment in the top half and want to keep climbing to the top. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Experience the German style of the game. FC Köln versus RB Leipzig on Friday, 15 March at 9:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
Kamofelo Motechwani, Soccer Laguma international journalist. Arsenal did the business eventually, winning by 2-1 to put themselves top of the table. What did you make of all the weekend's action?
Arsenal were made hard work of their victory, for lack of a better term. They put themselves in a great position going into Sunday. And yeah, the Manchester City-Liverpool game, that was an enthralling encounter, a brilliant game of football. The three teams, still push themselves and give us a brilliant title race. I don't know if the last time we saw three teams push each other for this long in the Premier League, but it was a great weekend of Premier League football, and I'm enthralled to see what happens in the last 10 games of the season for sure.
Top Sport on SAFM.
The Powerball jackpot, estimated at 76 million Rand, is set to make it rain lots of cash this March. That's right, play Powerball for an estimated 76 million Rand jackpot this Tuesday, and luck could be on your side. Buy your tickets now in store or at nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or you can simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Push a Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
I mean, every time I see these numbers of the National Lottery, I think, yo, bungeke ngibone yazi. Bengizowina namhlanje uthole SMS.
Call Angela right now. Angela. After Gele, like, hi, good afternoon, bye-bye. I'm a millionaire.
Right.
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I just appreciate you.
Wat ek kan doen met 'n miljoen. Wat ek kan doen met 'n miljoen.
Say that again. I mean, not much with a million.
A million.
76 million?
Couple.
Yeah, that will take me a long way.
Boom.
A long
Just like
way.
that.
Sure.
Don't breathe in my direction.
What's coming up today?
So coming up on the show this afternoon, we look at the motion of no confidence, a vote that is happening in Ekurhuleni against the mayor. Remember that the last time that meeting was convened, it ended up with chaos and assaults between the councillors in Ekurhuleni. So that's one of the stories that we're looking at this afternoon. Also looking at the last, when was it last week? Friday. I can't remember when it exactly was. But we got a listener who called in anonymously about the road accident fund claim that was paid out 1.7 million to the lawyers that she was working with. The lawyers took the 25% and then said the rest of the money is going to go into a trust. As per a court order, they said. And they said she will be getting 2,500 Rand every month. It looked a bit strange. So she asked for help and assistance around that. The Road Accident Fund got in touch with us as well, and they say that they're investigating this matter. So we're speaking to Macintosh Polela, who is the head of communications at the Road Accident Fund. And maybe for some people, because what I realized, the reaction to that as well, a lot of people complaining about lawyers swindling money out of claimants, beneficiaries, who got their payouts from the Road Accident Fund. So maybe if you have any questions in relation to payouts from the Road Accident Fund, do give us a call. We'll be speaking to Macintosh Polala at around 4:20. You can also drop us a voice note, and we'll park those voice notes and play those voice notes once we have Macintosh on. So any questions that you have in relation specifically to claims that you have made, and then you use lawyers, and then the lawyers don't pay all the money that they're supposed to pay.
Those road accident fund lawyers are just swimming it. They just
at least with this particular matter as well, the Legal Practitioner Council is also investigating it as well. So
Okay. Lovely stuff. Aldrin St. Pierre is coming up between 3 and 6 o'clock as we sit there and count what we would do with 76 million rands. That's just in the next few moments. Let's take a quick break and then we come back and wrap it up.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are catching up now with CEO of Vitality South Africa, Dinesh Govender, and we're looking at recognizing the challenges that obesity and insufficient physical activity brings to society. And there's a need to not only encourage specific positive changes in our behaviors, but also to ensure that the behavior activity becomes a consistent and long-term lifestyle. Oh, that is the key right there. How are you doing, Dinesh?
I'm good, Bridget. I'm in a cold and rainy London, but it's great to be on your show.
You're in London?
We've actually released this research. Adrian presented to at our Global Vitality Conference. We've got, Vitality started in South Africa, but it's now in 40 markets across the world. It's big in the UK, and it's in 38 other markets as well. So we were very excited to bring all of our partners together in a central location and actually announce this research together with the London School of Economics.
Yes. Oh, fantastic stuff. All right. Tell us in terms of the research. I mean, I think perhaps we understand why it would be in Vitality's interest to undertake this kind of research, and what would the outcomes for 2023-2024?
So, Bridget, the research is called the Vitality Habit Index, but let me start by just reminding, as you said, our entire core purpose is to make people healthier. And for us, it's not just altruistic, but it's actually good for business. If we make people healthier, it reduces their rate of illness, hospitalization, death, and that's good for medical aid, that's good for life insurance, and it's good for everything else. And it's overall great for society and general country healthcare costs. So we're pretty excited about the research and what it shows, because we often talk to people who are already runners and cyclists, but what it shows is even a small change in habit on physical activity, and at any age, including if you're a pensioner already, can make a massive difference to your health. So, for example, if you get someone who's on the couch to walk 5,000 steps 3 times a week, and 5,000 steps is not a lot in a day. If you get them to walk 5,000 steps 3 times a week, we could add 2.5 to 3 years of life to that person.
Oh, okay. I miss it by a day or two, Dinesh. I'm definitely going to do a little bit better. Are you finding with the Vitality Habit Index, are you finding that perhaps trends in our physical activity or inactivity are shifting with the years? And are they shifting for the better, for the positive, or for the negative?
So the World Health Organization currently estimates that over 25% of adults and 80% of kids are not physically active enough. So it's actually it's not a good stat. I think we've all got these busy lives at desks, in school, in front of the TV and devices. And I think so the trend is not positive, and we need to change that. And I think our research was all around saying, even a small change, and as you said, make it a habit, is actually much more impressive than trying to do something big, something sort of big and symbolic. So our research, what our research has shown is, if we could get someone to add, to get off the couch and do 5,000 steps and do that for 4 to 6 weeks, because that's how long it takes to confirm that, okay, I'm consistent. And the consistency is much, much more important than the intensity. If I can consistently do 5,000 steps 2 or 3 times a week, and I do that for 4 to 6 weeks, I can then up it to 7,500 steps. And once I'm there, the difference it makes is substantial. So at a population level, that would reduce mortality rate, so your risk of death, by 27%. But Bridget, for someone who's over 65, it would reduce their mortality rate by 52%.
Okay, interesting. And then tell me this also, because part of the findings there was that 30% of the global population is physically inactive, with high-income nations exhibiting even higher rates on inactivity. What is that connection between inactivity and these high-income nations?
We actually had, so Adrian released the research in a presentation this morning, and then we had a panel discussion including some public health experts and behavioral science experts, and they spoke a lot about architecture and structural changes. So, for example, even amongst rich countries, you've got the Netherlands, which is much more physically active than the UK or the US, for example, and that has a lot to do with how they've engineered their cities to enable people to safely walk and cycle versus being, running a risk of being knocked over by a car.
Yeah.
So really, it talks not just to what an individual can do, but really what's the environment, and is the environment conducive to people going out for a walk, whenever they just need to get their blood pumping, or running, taking up hobbies like running and cycling. We're quite fortunate with the types of weather we have in South Africa. The flip side is, there's the element of people feeling unsafe in certain neighborhoods to go out for a walk or a run. So every country has its, and society has its challenges, but I think, sort of thinking through public health, thinking through gardens and parks and runways and cycling lanes and stuff makes a massive difference to efforts by various governments.
And of course, as we speak about sort of better, healthier habits, these also sort of serve as the fundamental drivers of health outcomes, it goes tandem with this conversation.
Absolutely. So what we found, and when you come to the health outcomes, and at an individual level, and this is why I think it's important for readers. For example, for my father-in-law, I got him a Garmin for the last gift, and for my mum, I got an Apple Watch, because you normally think about these devices for runners, but my mum now tells me regularly how many steps she does in a day. And I think that the difference in that reduction of mortality risk by 52% is an individual level. If you think at a country level, right, and then at a medical aid or a national health insurance level, if we could get everyone exercising 3 days a week, and that exercise isn't about running, it is about just the number of steps you're adding to your day, we can reduce in-hospital healthcare costs by 13%.
Shoot.
So there's big numbers involved for governments, there's big numbers involved for insurers, and at a very, very personal level, it means more years of healthy life.
Yeah. I mean, over there at Vitality, you guys are in the business of, helping us and enticing us to take on healthier habits. So how do we encourage specific positive changes? I think just in our last breath, how do we get more South Africans reversing back those negative numbers when it comes to their health trajectory?
So I think there's various levels at an individual, at a company, and at a nation level. I think at the individual level, it is really, we do a lot of sharing the information broader than just our membership base. So we've got, almost 2 million members in South Africa, but there's 60 million people we're trying to reach through shows like yours, Bridget. Thanks for getting this message out there. It's just asking people to walk, get off the couch and find reasons to go for a walk. It's not just about, running, cycling, triathlons, paddle. But if you can add more steps to your day, that's a good thing at an individual level. At a company level, companies like Discovery and Vitality, we incentivize. We make it easier by providing incentives to go to gym, reducing gym costs, reducing wearable costs, sort of giving Vitality points for doing it. And then if you hit your exercise goals, we give you coffees and smoothies and Discovery Miles. So we're really, really up the ante in terms of recognizing and rewarding these positive behaviors. At a country level, and we've seen this, most countries, outside of a few that are very strategic, most countries invest less than 5% of their healthcare budget on preventative medicine, preventative healthcare. It's all in acute and curative, which is a bit too late and very, very expensive. Whereas if they spend more of their healthcare budget on enabling people to exercise and eat better, they'd end up with a much healthier population. So really, those are sort of the three levels: individuals, sort of companies and organizations, and then I guess the country itself.
Absolutely. Dinesh, thank you so much for stealing a moment of your day to illuminate us on the findings of the Vitality Habit Index. That was Dinesh Govender, CEO of Vitality South Africa, and I thoroughly enjoy my weekly smoothies at the gym. That is how we wrap it up today. From myself and my team, we thank you for choosing to be in conversation with us. Aldrin St. Pierre is coming through in just a matter of moments with Beyond the Headline. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again tomorrow.
Do business big. Sign up to selected Telkom Business LTE and fiber deals and get a free NSBC voucher worth 3,950 rands. T's and C's apply. Wires don't connect on their own. You ensure there's power because you are the business. Get Flex on Pro SIM only with 6 gigs all network anytime data, 1,000 Telkom to Telkom minutes and much more for 299 Rand per month from Telkom Business. Get a business loan from Telkom Lend and do business big. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
In our top stories, ANC commends IEC for swift response following leaked party lists, and patients evacuated after fire at Gqeberha Hospital. Good afternoon. The ANC has commended the Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, for its swift response to the leaking of the candidates list for the ANC and the MK party. The Commission earlier confirmed it has dismissed an employee responsible for the leak following an inquiry. The ANC says the leak has jeopardized the personal details of candidates. Gauteng DA Premier candidate Solly Msimanga says the party has the right solution to ending load shedding should it be elected into government. Msimanga launched the DA's provincial manifesto in Johannesburg today, where he highlighted the party's 7 key priorities if elected to power. Advocate Mfisane Kasiboto says one of the EFF MPs charged with disrupting party President Cyril Ramaphosa's budget vote speech on the 9th and 10th of June 2022 was not in the House. Kasiboto, acting for the EFF, questioned the Secretary to the National Assembly on the accuracy of the members who were charged. He was speaking during a hearing by Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee on the matter. Subtropical fruit farmers in Limpopo say irregular weather patterns are adversely affecting the quality and quantity of their produce. The farmers say if problems persist, they will be unable to feed both local and international markets. And 3 wards have been evacuated at the Life Mercantile Hospital in Gqeberha after a fire broke out just before 6 o'clock this morning. According to the acting senior director for fire and emergency, 3 fire engines were dispatched when they received the call. Further afield, and finally, state media in Russia say authorities have arrested a South Korean man on suspicion of espionage. The TASS news agency named him as Paek Hoon-sun, who reportedly worked as a religious missionary. Police say he was arrested in January, days after entering Russia. This information has just emerged. Recapping the top story, the ANC has commended the Independent Electoral Commission for its swift response to the leaking of the candidates list for the ANC and the MK party. The Commission earlier confirmed it has dismissed an employee responsible for the leak following an inquiry. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
And coming up in your sports this hour, Dynamo Basketball Club withdrawn from participating in the 2024 BAL season. Erasmus announces new Springbok management team, and Cameroon suspends 62 players for age cheating. I'll tell you more about this and other sports stories at 3:30.
A dream drafts the business. Passion takes it places because you are the business. Do business big with Telkom Business.
SABC Sport remembers the fallen hero, the legend of the beautiful game. Spiwe Dr. Mandi Mkhondo.